All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. We'd love you to support this show. Please like, follow, and subscribe to us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Your likes and subscription helps us to grow and attract interviews and content. So please retweet and share our posts. Your contributions are appreciated. Welcome to episode 442 of the KissFAQ Podcast. It's the usual crew back in our usual time, which means I'm going to have to do some work post-production to get this all looking good, but we're not going to look any prettier than we already are. All right, we got Ken, 69th Blizzard, Marcus Almighty Mark, and the ever-positive Bengals fan, Lonnie, St. Louis Kiss. All right, so we don't have any set topic this week. We're going to go through the board and try not to mock some of the topics. But before I keep rubbing my hands for some reason, I'm like evil Dr. Evil.
Warm them up.
Yeah. So, Ken, you got any comments from the last episode that you'd like to spin through?
Ken's Corner.
Ken's Comment Corner. Don't abbreviate that.
Okay.
Don't abbreviate it.
Okay. Let's see here. I got a number of them here. So from the last episode regarding our what was it? The episode? Yeah, the
Dynasty versus Love Gun.
Dynasty versus Love Gun. And oh, wait a minute, I got the wrong one.
Oh, that's great.
And we're off.
Hold it.
And that was Ken's
Hold it
Comment
right
Corner.
there.
It's my favorite
Was
segment.
it 441?
441.
Yeah, it's a little bit hidden on there because the live videos ended up in a slightly different space, at least on my
Yeah, you have to go to
YouTube.
like
live.
another section of YouTube.
Yeah, I can't get it all to show up.
Live
on the same.
one. Oh, there it
Yeah.
is. Okay. Jeez, I was like,
I
what?
mean, you can talk about Andy if you want. I mean, hell.
It's trying to play right now, of course. All right, here we go. All right, so we have from, this is slightly long, Timothy Workman. Being a drummer whose greatest musical influence, hands down, was Peter Criss, it is always great to hear Julian defend Peter's honor. I give all of you props for recognizing Dirty Livin' as the excellent song it is. It was doomed. It can't shock me, though. Good points by Ken and Daniel about Peter's drumming on Shock Me. Great show, and Daniel was hilarious talking about the translation of Love Gun. It reminded me of the guy in Role Models explaining the song's meaning to the kid. Yeah, that was a Love Gun, I think. Great Kiss pop culture moment. Mark, I am with you on Magic Touch. Great deep track. Magic jokes are always welcome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I always stick up for Peter's honor. I tried doing that when someone had the audacity on the board to say Peter's solo material sucked, which is why he wasn't have a successful
Right.
career.
Oh, yeah, that topic, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we got PD64, real quick one here. Lonnie's wows are epic. We have Bullin' a China Shop. I'm not sure what that means. I really like both records for different reasons, but something many people don't think about is that practically every track on Dynasty, he who sings his track also plays rhythm guitar and bass on that track.
Mm-hmm.
Ace for sure plays bass on his tracks. I'm pretty sure the session guy, Neil Jason, plays bass on Dirty Livin'. There's little interplay on Dynasty where on Love Gun. It feels like the guys are still on the same team. So I think that he means, Love Gun. It still feels like the guys are on the same team back then.
Still a band.
After, the solo albums, it was never the same after that. We'll go for another one here. Martin Acosta, Charisma Charisma, that's my favorite song. I said, well, yeah, it's a good song. It's the best one on Dynasty. Here's a good one, another regarding Peter from Dan O Guitar. Then She Kissed Me would have been a great song on Paul's 1978 solo album. Just didn't fit on Love Gun. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So let's do one more. Patrick Hamburg. I would have gone for the Love Gun track in all of these matchups. My top 3 Dynasty tracks faced way too hard competition: Dirty Livin', Charisma, and Sure Know Something. And yes, I'm that rare exception that loves Then She Kissed Me. Never got I Was Made for Loving You. Not even the Live 3 version. So, doesn't like I Was Made for Loving You. Thanks for that comment. And yeah, I think that's enough for this go round.
That's good. Thanks for taking the time to comment, everyone. That's important. And thanks to everyone who was commenting live when we were doing that episode as well. We won't read any of those because I think we reacted to them during the episode. The positive thing about these Kiss album versus Kiss album competitions is that a Kiss song always wins. So eat it, Taylor Swift. You're not winning. Not winning. She broke Ticketmaster. They're not even doing a public on sale now.
Don't get me going. Don't get me going on that.
The pre-sale. Well, Kiss has just announced more tour dates for Germany, and they were doing pre-sales yesterday, and everyone was like waiting for Golden Circle tickets. Five more dates in Germany. Let's start there, Lonnie, with you, since I tweaked you when I said Ticketmaster.
Well, I've been fighting Ticketmaster for the last couple of days, trying to get my wife Taylor Swift tickets, and
Are you successful?
Unsuccessful. I've never been shut out on concert tickets in my entire life, and I've seen Megadeth in a club. I mean, I've seen, I saw Kiss on the third show of the reunion tour. I mean, I've seen a lot. I saw Velvet Revolver on their first show was in St. Louis. I saw that. I mean, I've seen a lot of shit, and I've never ever been shut out on concert tickets. And Taylor Swift isn't coming to St. Louis. She's going to Cincinnati, which obviously we love Cincinnati, and she's playing 2 nights at a stadium in Cincinnati. Okay, well we're talking quite a few tickets right there. And I was not able to get a pre-sale code, but I'm a season ticket holder for the Bengals, so I got a pre-sale this morning through them. Still couldn't get them. I've never been shut out on concert tickets.
Did you even make it into the waiting room?
I made it into the queue, and I actually had tickets, clicked on 2 tickets this morning in section like 342, row 30, which is probably about last row up top. And they were verifying my tickets, and the thing is spinning, verifying tickets, and it said somebody else bought them. And I never got that close.
That's not
right.
We make fun of Taylor Swift, because we love rock, hard rock and stuff like that. But her fan base is something else. You know what I mean? Like she has quite a huge fan base, and they're pretty passionate. Just yeah, you know what I mean? And so I'm not surprised when I heard that you said that you're having a bitch of a time getting tickets, because I mean, I know people who are looking for tickets, and they said too that they were like no deal, like getting tickets. Like it was hard as hell. Like you have to be like in her inner circle club to get easy tickets. You know what I mean? Like you have to be with her since she first started.
Well, part of it too is, and this isn't a Taylor Swift podcast, we'll get off Taylor Swift here in a minute, but for her pre-sale, you had to sign up for the pre-sale, and if your email was selected, you got a code. So I did that because my wife's a big fan. We've seen her before, and I didn't get a pre-sale code, but I imagine what a lot of people did is they sent it in from 10, 15, maybe 20 different email addresses that they set up for this, thinking, well, one of them or a couple of them surely will get a code. And I'm sure multiple scalpers did the same thing, and that's why they're on, the StubHub and things like right now for like $15,000, $20,000.
Yeah, who owns StubHub?
Yeah, Ticketmaster.
Yeah, it's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I don't agree with a lot of what she says, but that ticket bastard is a monopoly that needs to be dealt with along with Live Nation. It's hard to not side with that argument after seeing that the bots broke the system, and the system is so broken that everyday fans, even those with pre-sales and, as Lonnie's kind of illustrated,
I was a season ticket holder at that stadium, and I couldn't get tickets.
Yeah, I get the offers through some of my credit cards for some of that. And yesterday I went to buy tickets for Ace Frehley at the Mystic Theater in Petaluma. And it took me to some secondary subsidiary, Ticket Web, or some fuck nut thing I've never heard of before to buy tickets. That's a subsidiary of Ticketmaster, with a $14 fee for buying a $60 ticket. And you know what?
Wow.
That's 25%. I'm like, fuck you. Ace is only going to play Kiss songs anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not going to drive up to Petaluma to see Ace, with the current band. It's not like Richie and Scotty Coogan are in the band making it exciting. The current band makes it musically acceptable. But he doesn't play anything other than basically Kiss these days.
Yeah.
So a $15 surcharge on a $60 ticket, and there isn't even a shipping option. I want the physical ticket because that's my keepsake of the shows that I go to. So Lonnie can't even buy tickets.
No.
And Ticketmaster is screwing the public left and right with its monopoly. I never got the tickets, by the way, to my VIP that I didn't show up for, which really annoys me as well. So I want to see Kiss. I'm missing Kiss a lot.
This system is really screwed up, I mean, I haven't gone and seen a show for a long while, and this is probably why, but I mean, I have a friend that, Ken, you go on to that live stream that I do sometimes on the weekends, right? Like some days. The Vance there, he goes to shows I think he must go to 9 to 10 shows a month, this guy.
Wow.
But he also goes to shows that in theaters in Chicago there, that are a couple blocks away, or maybe, and he can buy the tickets right at the actual venue. So for him, it's probably a bit easier getting tickets for shows like that, like Blue Oyster Cult and Anvil or Exciter and these other bands that come through. And, that still luckily isn't a bitch to get tickets for, but, it's getting harder and harder and harder to get tickets for big things,
Yeah, and it's getting so expensive, even for a little club. Gig like the Mystic. The Mystic's beautiful, by the way. Last time he was there, he came into the area for 2 shows. He did a place over in Berkeley and also the Mystic. Went to both those shows, which I seldom will go to that many shows. And I took the upper level at the Mystic by the soundboard, and freaking awesome, great show. But Richie was still there. So again, you make the choices, but to have a system that is broken. The system has failed. Yeah, Megadeth. Yeah. So I still got Wasp tickets. Paper. I like that. One more. That's my last. I got 2 shows left this year. Wasp at the Regency, and then Destroyers doing a tribute set out here early December as well. Which
I had one show.
Oh, the Destroyer, the Canadian Destroyer?
No, San Francisco Destroyer, the real.
Is that Jonathan?
Yeah.
Because there's a Canadian version of Destroyer.
Yeah, I'll go see Jonathan. Good band, and he goes nuts. It's great. Ken, you have one more show?
I do have one more show.
Who?
A couple of weeks. Andrea Bocelli.
Really?
Italian dude.
Yeah, at the Chase Center. Yeah.
Oh, San Francisco?
Yeah.
I haven't been there yet, so.
Is that blind dude?
Yeah, it's the blind dude. Yeah.
Is that the blind dude
who sings? There's a few of those guys out there, but
blind Willie.
Yeah, very very good singer. Thought I'll have to check him, see him one time. It should be pretty impressive, I'm sure.
Cool.
Any thoughts on Kiss announcing a further run of dates in Europe? Clearly, they're not going to just fly out to, Germany for those 5 dates.
No,
does that bother anyone? Mark, you've already kind of intimated you're itching for a show. If Kiss goes to your neck of the wood, are you going to go? And then we'll go around to Ken and Lonnie if they'll go to another show.
I mean, if people actually think that this is going to be just 5 shows in Germany and that's it. They're going to be doing a lot more shows and going to be announcing a lot more. I mean, I just find it just humorous at this point. And we talked about this 100 times. We're beating a dead horse about how the end of the road. How when's it ever going to end? But if they come to Toronto, I think
after we've been to your city 4 times, we'll call it
That's
good.
Yeah, 4 times. Come on, Then we've made sure that every last person in your city has saw us. So I would probably go. I mean, I didn't see them the last time they came through, so I should probably go see it. I mean, there's that one part of me on the shoulder there, the little angel that's going, they use backing tracks. You're a real musician. Don't go listen to it. Don't. And I'm like, well, but you know what? I just want to still check it out. I mean, it was always a good show. I've always had good memories of it, right? But I mean, hey, there was the big brouhaha just now about Wasp and how they were using backing tracks on this tour for all the Crimson Idol songs. How Blackie completely missed a line. He was 10 feet away from the microphone when it came up. So it's not just Kiss doing it, obviously, anymore. Lots of people are doing it.
Yeah, Lonnie, will you go?
I will go if it comes here. I don't think I'm going to travel to go see it. And I know you're like, Lonnie, you travel how many miles to go watch the Bengals 8 times a year? But
that's the Bengals.
Right, correct. But, I mean, at this point, it's the same tour 3-4 years later. It's basically the same show. It's the same stage. It's the same everything 3-4 years later. I said my goodbye to him in 19 when I saw him with my brother. Same person I saw my first show with. It was it was a good bookend to it. If they come here, I'll go. I mean, I'm not gonna not go if they're playing 15 minutes from my house. You know what I mean? But I don't know if I'm gonna travel. I don't know if I travel to go see them. But if they came here, I'd go. I made a comment on the board the other day, like end of the road. I think it's a roundabout as opposed to a straight line. I think Julian ended up deleting that thread, but
me,
not you. No. But I don't know. I mean, we've discussed this a lot the last almost 4 years. Like, I don't know. We heard things on the cruise at Doc saying, well, 50 dates for 50 more Kiss shows. I find it hard to believe we're going to do 50 more dates. I find it really hard to believe that we're going to do 50 more dates, and 10% of them are in Europe, are in Germany already. Yeah.
Well, where did they do good business this past summer? They were in Germany in 2019 as well, and it's summer festival season. Downloads already booked for England. I will travel because I've never seen Kiss in my own country, in the UK. So if they do anything up north, Newcastle, well, I can visit family and go see Kiss. I'm in. London, I can visit family and go see Kiss. I would really, and Liverpool? Oh, hell, I could go see family and see Kiss. Ah, shit, Birmingham. I can go have a curry and go see Kiss. I've only been to Birmingham once, so it's to pick up a paycheck. But I would love to have a excuse to go visit my family again and also to see Kiss. I had Wembley tickets in 99, did not go. I had Finsbury in 97, car broke down. And then there was the reunion tour, which was a nightmare for me because I won't go there. I'll have bad memories. But I would love to. And if they came near San Francisco, I would likely do it now because I missed the last one at the tail end of, the COVID era. And I kind of regret going because Ken had such a great time and would have been with him. But I also couldn't because of health reasons. So there we go. So I'm jonesing for it, but I don't know if I'd travel in the States. I wouldn't mind seeing them in another country other than England. If they maybe do Scandinavia, maybe I'll have an excuse.
Japan.
I'm not going to Japan. I'd go to Scandinavia because those guys are freaking nuts there. And I got to think about where I'd love to see them the most.
Australia, mate.
I'm not going to Australia. It's too long of a freaking flight. I'm not not going to Japan. It's too much of a hassle.
Oh, you don't like no Japan, huh?
I love Japan. I'd love to go, but I don't want to do the flight. Ken, would you go see him?
Yeah. Even I've seen them 5 farewell times, but actually, well, if you count.
Does that include the other farewell tour? Or just this farewell
two
tour?
on the farewell tour and 3 on the end of the road. 3 times.
You
on the
have
road.
to differentiate with your farewells, Ken. Come on.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Who
I
now
know.
or Kiss?
Sorry, it's all confusing. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping if they do one, they do it right near here, where I live. I would definitely do that. The one other possibility would be where I travel. Would be if they played Red Rocks in Colorado.
That'd be cool.
That's a nice place.
I think the only time we played there was the Hot in the Shade tour.
Yeah.
And man, I would love to see them there. I've been there. But yeah, I think it'd be a fantastic, experience seeing them live there.
Have you ever gone to LA, Ken?
Well, back on the Creatures tour, if you want me to bring up that subject again.
Wasn't that Irvine Meadows, though?
Irvine Meadows, and then Universal Amphitheater in Los Angeles.
Nice.
Okay.
The next night. 2 nights in a row I was there. Yeah.
Ken mentioned his seeing them multiple times on a farewell tour. Here's a good question. How many times have you seen Kiss where you thought it was the last time you were gonna see Kiss?
How many times?
How many times did you see him thinking, this is it?
Once, which was, and maybe twice, but once, the one time I saw them when the first time they played the farewell tour at Oakland, Oakland Coliseum Arena. Oakland Marina. It was called Oracle back then.
Now, was that 2001 or was that this tour?
That was
2000.
That's 2000 March.
Yeah.
That's the show that we're at where I wasn't with you, but where the
So
guy
22
died.
years ago, basically.
No. That one was.
Ken's been saying goodbye for decades.
I've been saying
Well, I
goodbye the
have
last
too.
3 years too.
We all have.
Once a year, I say goodbye. It seems like.
I mean, I saw him in May of 2000 in Peoria, Illinois, and I thought that was it. And then they extended the farewell tour, and I saw him in August of 2000, and I thought that was it.
And then
I saw him in February of 2022 on the end of the road tour, and I didn't think that was it because, I mean, come on, we knew they were going to milk this as long
You
as
do that trick.
So, and then I saw him in St. Louis in September of 19, and I thought that was it. So my answer to that question is 3. I've seen them. I've gone to 3 different Kiss shows thinking this is the last time I'm going to see them.
I don't think I've ever gone to a Kiss show thinking this is the last ever time, but I've come out of a show thinking that this might be my last time. and that was March. No, that was March 2020 when I said it. It was such a great show. No, it was such a great show, and we didn't know anything at that point. We knew things were a little bit dodgy, but coming out of that show, Ken and I had such a great time. It had been such a great experience. I came out thinking I could actually not see them again, and finding it so easy to skip the next opportunity that I essentially had after COVID world reopened, but now I'm getting itchy.
It's interesting, though, you brought up a good point, though, because, saying that you saw them and then thinking to yourself, this might be the last time I'll go, not because it'll be the last time, but just because you're either satisfied with them that much or dissatisfied. And I came out of seeing them when they played with Motley Crue here in Toronto. I saw that tour, and Motley Crue were great. They were like, wow, they were like really fantastic on that tour. Yeah, and then when Kiss came out, honestly, that was the first time I left the show thinking to myself, they weren't really that good tonight. Like Paul was starting to get a little rusty, and just the energy level was just not the same as Crue was. And Crue's sound, believe it or not, was much better. Like they were like, wow, like Mick Mars's guitar was like taking people's heads off in the audience. It was so loud.
Yeah, they should not have allowed Nicky to have that goddamn flamethrower or Tommy to ride the rails. Talk about an energy sink, because Motley came into those shows marching with flags and pomp and circumstance and blaring Romanesque music. Holy shit.
Yeah, we were wondering what the hell was going on. Where I was sitting, all of a sudden, all these security guards came barreling through there and like, everybody get back. We're like, what the hell's going on? We thought we were being evacuated or something. And they're like, no, sit.
Vince
go
Neil
back
sees
to
a
your area.
buffet.
And then next thing you know, all these flags coming out, all these flags and all this shit, this weird gothic music, and it was like, what is this? Like, then, but it was so good. It was so good, that show.
Yeah, they out kiss. So they're going to keep touring, and Lonnie's absolutely right. They're going to milk it and bilk it as long as they can. Should they now be changing the branding? Obviously, it's too late, so it's almost a silly question to ask, since they're still calling those shows in 2023 the end of the road. Shouldn't they change the name up now, Lonnie?
Yeah, still the end.
I was looking. I saw those dates yesterday, and it's like actually the first thing I did to see if it still said "end of the road" on there. It was actually one of the first things I did. I thought, because like the one ad I saw just said "Kiss" with the German S's, and it didn't say "end of the road," and then the other ad does say "end of the road." I was almost waiting for the ad to say 50th anniversary tour. And it wouldn't shock the hell out of any of us if the potential run through the States said 50th anniversary tour.
Mm-hmm.
Would it really shock the hell out of you?
No, I think they need.
Yeah.
I actually, I knew the shows were coming, and I was checking the Patent and Trademark Office to see if there are any recent filings that would suggest a rebranding, and there were none. So I figured that it's not. I mean, I'm even going to I own the end of the Kiss the End of the Road .com. I'm going to let that lapse next year, because it's like, Jesus Christ, I'm not paying for another year of it. They clearly don't want to buy it from me. But it kind of would have been nice for them to rebrand it, because we understand, and people have pointed out when we've talked about this tour seems to be going on forever, that COVID shut the world down, and they've had multiple, I think 3 times, trying to get back to South America. Some of the Australian dates. I did a spreadsheet of all the reschedules the other day for updating the site. And, 5 reschedules in Australia for some shows, multiple ones for West Palm Beach and Nutter Center. So when we say it seems to be going on forever, we do acknowledge that COVID killed millions of people and the band couldn't tour because of government regulations in various locations, and when they did tour they got COVID and Fran died. So we do acknowledge that. But does that not give it even more reason to rename the frickin' tour? Isn't like the end of the road kind of poisoned with the end of the world nearly happening? Ken?
Yeah, the end of the world tour. End of the world tour.
Everyone's calling it the end of the world tour anyway. Everyone misspeaks.
They can, if they rebrand it, they can sell more merch, change the tour books.
Tour books, yeah.
Tour books, more T-shirts.
Couple versions of it too, yeah.
Maybe do an album. But yeah, right.
Maybe do a pay-per-view, Ken. Maybe do a pay-per-view where you could get a VIP package.
Wow.
All right.
You're trying to hurt his feelings deliberately.
Wow.
Here we go.
Below
You know
the
what?
belt
You've
there.
just cursed the Bengals this week, or they have a bye.
That's right.
No, they played Pittsburgh on Sunday.
I'd like to see them rebranded after doing this for so many years, and if they're going back to the same place that they've already been, or 50th anniversary.
Yeah, they're going back to the same place they've been many times. It's called Your Wallet.
Yeah, your wallet tour. Whatever. We've come for your money tour.
There's a good
something like
title.
that.
We've come for your wallet tour. That'd be perfect. Why hide it? That's what. And speaking of disappointment, though, and I gotta ask this. Okay, remember that thing that was on about 4 days ago? Something is coming in 24 hours.
Something epic.
Yeah. And I go on there, and
epic,
it is all it was a couple of crappy T-shirts from like specific cities and one program. I'm like, really? This is what fucking you're hyping this up for? Is this?
They all
Wow.
did, because I got the
That
same.
is-
I got the identical email from Aerosmith because I'm on their mailing list, and then other people were chiming in with other bands that they're
Guns
on.
N' Roses did it a couple weeks ago.
So
was ridiculous. I was expecting
I didn't
at
even
least
look.
I was expecting it to be at least more items than that 50% off. They could have sold a lot of more stuff at 50% off. There's a lot of other shirts they could have went through, but really they just had like specific cities from this tour shirts 50% off, and then the program it was so annoyingly disappointing. I was like, this is like, I'm at a loss for words, really. Like, that was so bad.
Yeah, so Lonnie mentioned it. Guns N' Roses. Obviously, that box came out. Everyone's had a chance to kind of digest it. Kiss's box set for Creatures of the Night is out tomorrow or today if you're in the right time zone. I just got a whole bunch of shipping notifications. Amazon, I've just found out that I ordered something from Kiss Online and didn't remember that I had ordered it and reordered it from Universal. So I got multiple shipping notifications, the same frickin' 3LP thing. So I'll end up probably giving one away on the show. But, Lonnie, Guns N' Roses did something that is straight out of Kiss's playbook, and I want your take on that. You bought the Super Deluxe, I'm going to assume.
Correct.
For the Use Your Illusion, which is both albums remastered, a live show from 91 at the Ritz and Las Vegas 92. So that's post Izzy and Izzy live shows. One orchestral remix of November Rain, but there's nothing, no demos, no other material included on those boxes. Now, why I want to ask you specifically about that is I bought the digital. And then you chimed in and said, oh, they've got different live tracks on the 2 CD versions. I'm like, nah, you motherfucker, they wouldn't do that.
Straight out of the book.
That's a Kiss play that even Kiss hasn't done yet, that I actually think Kiss should have done for Creatures with some of the live tracks. But what's your thought on that? From the Guns N' Roses perspective, I had to buy them because Use Your Illusion 2 has 2 Joe Perry and Steven Tyler live tracks, and Use Your Illusion 1 has Lenny Kravitz. So you think that's fair for Super Deluxes not to include the kitchen sink?
Do I think it's fair for it not to include the kitchen sink? No. Am I surprised that they did that? No. Because I think it's very smart.
Are you surprised that they did it before Kiss did it?
Yes, because Julian called it. It's a total Kiss play. Because Kiss is the band that released 3 different versions of Kissology 3 different times to make you go buy multiple versions of that DVD set. It's a total Kiss play. The box set itself is great. I love it. I love the Ritz 91. I love Vegas 92. I am disappointed that there is not any demos from the Use Your Illusion sessions on there, because I have a lot of demos from the Use Your Illusion sessions, which I would have loved to see or heard, I should say, cleaned up the way stuff was on Destroyer and stuff that's going to be on Creatures tomorrow is. The play of putting different bonus tracks on the individuals and not on the Super Deluxe, I think is actually it's actually genius, because it is. It's actually genius because a super fan wants all the official released songs, no matter what. So it's not enough that you're going to spend all this money on this deluxe set. Well, now I have to go buy the individual albums too.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, how many Kiss fans are buying the Super Deluxe Creatures and are buying other versions of the Creatures too? It's really not that big. Exactly. It's not that big of a move, because a lot of Kiss fans are doing the same thing. Yeah. But it would incentivize. But if they just threw in, like Julian said, just a couple different live tracks on the regular version of Creatures, every single one of us and almost every single person watching this would say, it's only $20 to go buy that version of Creatures. I'll go do it because I really want those songs.
But you see,
I did it. But I got Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 downstairs too, because I gotta have it. Like Julian said, well, I gotta have that too.
Yeah, and
That
I
answers your
only
question,
bought the
though.
digital, but I went out and they had those tracks available on iTunes. I'm like, I gotta have those. But having Stephen and Joe guest appearances on them is a little bit different proposition
For you.
than, say, taking some of the other live tracks from, and they did that already with Rockford and Sue. You've got multiple versions of some songs, not only Rock and Roll Hell, but they are all self-contained within the Kiss box. So now I'm
Okay.
now I'm a little worried. Mark.
But you know what though? Honestly, I'm not surprised because we're talking about Kiss here. Kiss is the band that's always like 3 albums behind on everything.
Wow.
Everybody gets behind everything. So of course, why are you surprised that they're not doing it?
So the box next fall, we're gonna copycat.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
with Use Your Illusion, with it having no additional bonus material, the live shows, and I don't know, did those ever circulate as bootlegs? I think you mentioned
sure.
that.
Not yes and no. That Joe Perry stuff and Steven Tyler stuff. That's from a pay-per-view from Paris in '92.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
And I have that, but it's obviously much more cleaned up. Those versions are much more cleaned up than the versions I have. The Ritz in Vegas show, not so much. I mean, I'm sure in some circles they circulate, but and I have a lot of GNR stuff from the '90s. But those 2 shows really did not circulate in my. I didn't have those shows, and I have a lot of stuff, but I didn't have those shows. So, from a GNR collector perspective, those 2 shows they were strategic in putting those 2 shows as the shows on the box set.
Yeah.
That Ritz '91 and they were shows that fans have been clamoring for.
Yeah, and come on, the video is absolutely spectacular that's included on the Super Deluxe.
And it is. It's a Blu-ray of the Ritz 1991. And for those of you that are familiar, it's the same show that they shot the You Could Be Mine video for. We've seen snippets of it for years and years and years. So we knew that show was pro shot. And they kept it under tight quarters for 30 years.
Lock and key.
Which is pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, just remember, some of the people on the FAQ were bitching about the Creatures box set, saying Metallica includes all these live shows, and here's Guns N' Roses, who are arguably probably the biggest rock band of the early 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
Just 2 live shows and not a single B-side or bonus track, because all of those, again, all those demos are included on the Appetite, because most of those songs were born in
Correct.
in '86. But there's no alternative mix to the album.
No.
There's no
No.
Atmos. Is there an Atmos mix?
Nope.
No.
No.
The only thing that's new is the November Rain with a re-recorded or
They should have thrown strings on Estranged. That thing's just screaming for
that would have been that's maybe my favorite GNR song, but that would have been amazing. But I am disappointed in the fact that there are no demos. So I mean, the fact that we're getting some of those Kiss demos on the Creature set is really cool. And when you look at comparison of like my 2 favorite bands of what they're doing, I like it. I wish there were other things on there, but but there's the Blu-ray and the Creature set. Well, we don't get video, so
Yeah.
it's 6 and 1, half a dozen of the other.
Why is that happening, Julian? I mean, I know you may not have the exact answers, but I mean, just strictly from gut instinct, why is it that Kiss refuses to put video in these boxes? I mean, every box that I have of all these other bands that I have, there's at least one Blu-ray with at least a television performance or one concert, or at least like the King Crimson ones have lots of live stuff from various tours and stuff like that. Like, do you think it's just like some kind of rights problem or licensing problem that they can't get these shows put out? Like, I don't understand this. Like, they have so many concerts available to them. Why can't they put any of these things on?
I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. I'd recommend watching one of the 2 episodes on Kiss My Wax with Tom, even though he's on the design side of that. I think it's simply a business decision that's been made. I don't know. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not a video guy. I've never been a video guy. I'm an audio geek, pure and simple. So I don't really have an opinion on it because, again, I don't go gaga for it. Did I enjoy the leak of Largo 75? Hell yeah. But I've never been a collector on that level. I've always been about the audio. So you're asking the wrong guy. Why? Because I just don't know, because I'm not involved in it. So my guess is as good as anyone else's on this round table about why, but I don't think it's missed for Kiss. I know some people say yes it is, but it's an opinion, and it's neither right or wrong. Because again, I don't think any of the things that we wish existed video-wise really do exist. I think they're unicorns, just myths. Where how many times are you going to watch Largo 75? I listen to the audio rip of it a lot more, because that's more convenient to how I consume my music most of the time. So, again, I don't know why, and judging by the responses that I'm getting from or reading about of people who've already experiencing the Creatures of the Night box set, they're going gaga over that frickin' box, and the rest of us are going to get to enjoy it in its entirety tomorrow. And I'm only waiting for the Atmos. That is what I am going to first. But again, for your listening experience for Creatures, my strong recommendation: start at the beginning and just press play and let it take you 5.5 hours into Creatures. Just go from start to finish with the book. I can't wait to see the book and see the chockies. I'm like super excited. I'm so excited. I've been ordering too many of the damn things. I'm hoping, one of them arrives on time tomorrow so that I can have release day, happy smile. But let's get into some of the other topics from the board this week. And one of the interesting ones, I want to start off with Ken, who was actually there, was: do you consider the 1978 solo albums part of the Kiss discography? Ken?
Yeah. I think I do, even though it's just one member performing with others, on each of those. I think initially they were going to release them as without the Kiss logo on them, but since they put the Kiss logo on them, I'm saying they're part of the discography. Then I think they all got, even if. And thinking about it, they all got paid for probably all the albums selling anyway, because they're all part of the Kiss, group or whatever.
At the time. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say yes, even though they don't count them as regular studio albums. They count as 20, and then plus the 4, solo albums. So I'm just gonna say, from my standpoint, I just say yes, that they're labeled Kiss, so they're part of the Kiss.
Lonnie's reaching for his bottle of whiskey. Lonnie?
No, they are. They are. They're part of the discography for sure. I consider them. Don't you? I mean, I don't think that was a question. Don't you guys consider them?
Oh, I don't know. We'll find out when we get to Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Yeah. Yes.
Mark.
Well, I don't know. No.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, some of the songs clearly sound like they could be on a Kiss album. I mean, you listen to Paul's stuff, a lot of that could have easily been on a Kiss record, and they played some of that on that cruise. Same with Gene's stuff. I mean, as much as Gene's is kind of, a little off in left field in times on his solo record, I mean, they did Radioactive on the cruise, and it sounded fine in amongst the rest of the Kiss material, right? I mean, even Ace's stuff. I mean, guaranteed if they went and said, okay, last minute, we're canceling the solo albums, guys, get back in the studio and do a Kiss album, he could have easily took some of those songs and put them on with Kiss and did them on a Kiss record. The only ones that I don't think would be as easy as Peter's, because Peter's album, if you really look at it from the perspective of a solo record, which is supposed to be different, if that was how they were looking at it, making a record completely different from what they were doing, he's the only one who really kind of fell in that bracket, in my opinion. He did a completely different style of music, and something that Kiss fans were probably not really expecting. So his is kind of really the only real true solo album on there. The rest of them are kind of just like, songs that could have been on a Kiss record, but they were just done by individual members. But yeah, they are Kiss albums.
Yeah, I'm going to revert to technicalities here. They're defined in the Kiss contract, therefore they're Kiss albums. 2 solo albums counted as 1 Kiss album. They're Kiss albums. They have Kiss logos on them. They're Kiss albums, and as Ken said, they probably fall under the partnership agreement in terms of royalties other than the songwriting and publishing side of it, but I think even that might have been still split at the time. I don't know. Never did get to read the partnership contract. So it would be a big gap in the picture if they weren't included. And if you look at the ads, like the Accept No Imitations or the Crazy Nights ads, they were always included in the Kiss discography. So Kiss says they are, therefore I don't think what we think actually matters in it. Another good thread that someone started was the best of Eric Singer. And this is the best of Eric Singer, not just in Kiss. You know, what are some of the standout albums or songs from those albums that really make you think that illustrate his drumming prowess wonderfully? And Lonnie's just going to list the tracks on Revenge, probably, but
straight
Lonnie,
down the list.
Yeah,
Except for the Kevin Valentine on Revenge.
and the
Other than
Eric
that,
Carr
yeah.
song.
Yeah. Hate. I really like his drumming. Like on Hate stands out to me. On Carnival. Obviously, I'm going to say his stuff off Revenge because I think he really changed. He had a big footprint in changing Kiss's sound in 1992. You could point to Bob Ezrin as well, but and nothing to take away from Eric Carr, because he was a great drummer in his own right as well. But you know, Eric coming in was just new blood and new life into the band. You can really hear it on Alive 2. You can hear it on Alive 3 as well. I mean, we all have our qualms with Alive 3 because that's really not maybe what the band sounded like in 1992, whatever. But you can hear it on Alive 3. I mean, just listen to that intro to Creatures as Alive 3 kicks off, and you can just hear Eric's drumming on that double bass, you know, right into it. It's really, really fantastic.
Yeah.
But you know, Eric's just so solid that Eric's so solid that I don't think there's you can say there's a best of Eric Singer. There's really not bad Eric Singer drumming, especially on any studio recordings. He's so solid, and it's been such a soldier for the band.
Soul Station.
Wow.
Excuse me, I had a cough there.
Yeah.
Well, that's still good drumming. It's just not good Kiss drumming.
There you go.
On Soul
Well,
Station. All right, Mark.
So I think that for me, I have to agree 150% with Lonnie. As soon as Eric Singer came in the band, there was a new energy, new blood. I mean, and I said this before in a previous episode, that my friend Jerry, who was the drummer in my previous band, he's a big Neil Peart guy and prog drummer guy. And when he heard Revenge, he was like, wow. He was instantly a fan because he loved the drumming on that album because of Eric Singer. And he was right away he bought Alive 3. You know, he was all about Kiss when Eric Singer was in the band. And I have to agree, my favorite Eric Singer stuff, honestly, is his live stuff. I mean, I love Alive 3, and I love like the videos that came with it. What was that, Confidential, and those records, those videos that came out. Fantastic. He's a great drummer. I mean, I have a fantastic bootleg of when they were doing the club dates from Toronto, and one of the best parts of that was when they're going, Eric, show him what you can do, and he did the drum solo bit there. I mean, fantastic. His double kick is fantastic, and he's the master of that cymbal grabbing thing. You can just grab them on a dime, like fantastic. And you know, in studio he's good too, but unfortunately he's sometimes a bit restricted, especially talking like Sonic Boom and Monster. They didn't take the chains off him on that. They let him do more of that on Revenge, I think, be more his style. But his style kind of got a bit neutered later on, I found, because even when they started doing old Kiss stuff, you listen to him doing like Deuce and stuff like that when they were touring for like Revenge. And then listen to what he was doing, what it was sounding like when they did like, the tour in Japan, years later, 2000, what was that, 5 or 6 or 7 or 9? Whenever they did.
They went back several times. 2006 was
6.
Yeah, that one. There was a video there.
Yeah,
that came out, and they were doing the Alive set there. I mean, he went right back to sort of like the kind of drumming, which is like, ugh. Why didn't he just let them do what he does? I mean, sure, he's not Peter Criss, but that's why we love him, right? You don't want Peter.
Yeah,
if we
but
want Peter Criss, get Peter in.
they were more of a tribute band. He's wearing the makeup and presenting made up Kiss rather than
in a live costume.
Yeah, rather than what he was in 92, 93, 94, 95,
well, then,
where they were still a valid band.
So then my answer is the best Eric Singer is the time when he was not in makeup. There.
Well, for sure. I can say that.
All right, Ken. In and Out of Kiss, the best of Eric Singer for you.
Yeah, I mean, Revenge era, and when he first joined them, basically, that was a lot of great energy. I think Lonnie said it too. Just the energy he brought at the time, it was you could hear it in the songs when they played them live, when I saw them in the club for the first show with Eric Singer, that was just so good, and there was a bootleg out there of that show that you can check out if you find it, and just man, that show was something else. But also ESP, that stuff, I really enjoyed that one ESP CD. It's really cool. A lot of good stuff. It's just a great outside project for him. So yeah, good stuff. I mean, it's hard to pick. He doesn't.
Well, not knowing what
do
the
anything
songs,
bad,
not knowing what the topics were going to be today, it's impossible for you guys to actually have songs ready to rattle off.
I don't have songs ready or anything, but yeah, I mean, he's always been solid.
But you know what? If we are talking about outside of Kiss, though, which I didn't realize we could talk about, Alice Cooper.
Alice stuff,
for sure. I mean,
Along Came a Spider. He's great on Along Came a Spider.
Yeah, and Dragontown. When I saw that live concert that they did with that, he was amazing, and I love the drum solo thing he did with the sticks on fire bit there, and he blows out the last one, and everything goes dark. Fantastic.
Now, did he drum on the studio version of Dragontown? Because there was one.
I don't know.
Either Brutal Planet. I can never remember which at the time because he was in and out of bands.
Yeah.
Brutal Planet was really good. I think he was on Brutal Planet.
Brutal Planet and Dragontown are absolutely spectacular. Those are two just really good albums, period, regardless of who's on instruments. All right, me, it's easy. Because Curve Boy actually listed out songs, and I was like, oh, yep. One of my all-time... This is actually one of my all-time Sabbath, without Ozzy songs, Born to Lose.
Yeah.
And the foundation of the drumming there, Driving. That I mean, it's just absolutely spectacular. He's also got Turn to Stone. I'm like, yeah, I agree with that. Badlands. Everyone...
Yeah.
When I play a guitar, there's one riff I love to play because I don't play drums, so I'm going to talk about the guitar. High Wire. But from the moment you hear that, Eric Singer, he's a young drummer at that time. That album is spectacular drumming from start to finish. I mean, it's spectacular vocals, it's spectacular guitar playing, it's really good bass, really good production. I mean, it's got all those elements that come together just to be a spectacular album. But what's the first thing kind of recorded on an album? The drums. And he was in and out of bands at that time. He was doing session work for The Cult. Those are some really good demos to listen to as well with his drumming on them. Ken mentioned ESP, Free Ride. And Curve Boy, again, thanks for listing your songs because I agree completely with your selections there. But Free Ride, oh yeah. Hell yeah. Great song. And in Kiss, if I think about some of his best drumming, I'm going to always, I don't need Curve Boy's list here. Jungle. Again, because that's a different sort of drumming than, say, the power of Heart of Chrome, or Tough Love. Revenge for me is his best Kiss drumming. Forget the live stuff. In the studio is where he really got all the latitude to shine on that album, because afterwards, what do you have? Carnival of Souls, and he's playing cardboard boxes. Carnival of Souls is Eric Singer's Saint Anger. Well, maybe not quite that bad.
Wow.
A lot of good Eric Singer drumming, and we're so lucky to have had him in the band, because he really did give him a kick in the ass at a time where they needed it after Eric Carr's death. All right, here's probably be the last topic. Ken, why didn't Peter Criss have a solo hit?
Yeah, Ken, why?
Why, Ken?
Probably because two things. Probably because the marketing is one. Number two is, the songs were just not
You can
the
say
greatest, top 40 material. There's some good songs on, its solo album and his first album out of Kiss. What was that called? Off the Record, or what was that called? Anyway, I'm forgetting it now. But
what album?
The
Out of Control.
Out of Control. Sorry, I say Off the Record. That's something else, some other album. But yeah, those are both decent albums. But I don't think there's no backing. He was gone out of Kiss, and they just didn't. They didn't do anything marketing for that album, so it had no chance. He even he had Hit Me With Your Best Shot on there, I think before Benatar, right?
Well, You Better Run.
Well, You Better Run. Sorry, mixing the Benatar songs up. So stuff like that. There are some really good songs I like on the 78 album and the one after it. But just you got to have backing first of all from your record company, and then number two, the songs have to be there. And there's some good songs I think could have gotten a hit, but maybe the style wasn't right either for the time period of the music that was out at the time.
All right, Mark.
Well, look, let's face it. A lot of musicians, and I'm not just saying Peter Criss is guilty of this, but there's a lot of musicians that are in bands that were pretty popular. They leave and they think, now you watch, I'm gonna show them, when my album comes out, I'm gonna be the biggest thing, and it never pans out. Why? Because you were popular because of the band, not because of you, right? I mean, there is some stock in what Ken says that, if, Acoin and those guys got 100% behind it, got him some really top-notch writers with him, did a really great record and marketed towards a different sort of fan base and audience, like maybe towards like a soul station, like radio station sort of thing, like that played that sort of music, right? Maybe he would have had a different audience. Maybe he would have had a big record in that circle. But, people know Peter Criss because of Kiss, and they know him because of Beth, primarily. But he also has a great, whiskey kind of voice. He could have did lots of other things. He could have been like a Rod Stewart, if he wanted to go down the more softer route of things, that way. But again, he didn't have the support, but he just didn't have the songs. They weren't, they weren't great songs, And no matter what, I mean, you need to have that if you want to get really big. But, and that's the other thing too. He left a big band thinking that he was going to be big by himself, and then that doesn't happen. I think he was just a bit delusional with that, to be honest.
Yeah, my kind of view on this is that the airplane was crashing in early 1980, and he parachuted, but he jumped out of the plane at 1 foot off the ground. So while he didn't die in the air crash, he still hit the ground just as hard. Phonogram gave him a decent deal, not a great deal, but certainly better. I think they put him in a similar level to Phil Collins in 81, or 80, pardon me. So they kind of measured him against that kind of drummer. The material, I say he had good material because You Better Run is a good material. Now, people countered to me on the FAQ saying, well, his version wasn't great. Well, I actually like it. So, again, opinions. The material is good. He had Tears on the second album, both of which, went onto the Billboard Hot 100. So he had good material. But Kiss was crashing, and his album comes out after Unmasked, and they release By Myself. Talk about a mistake, a bad single to introduce Peter Criss
Mhm.
to the world. But I think he was also distracted by that point with settling down with a new wife, finding a home. And he didn't tour. He rehearsed, but he never got out on the road. And even his press tour, was kind of couldn't get coverage because of shifting music scene. So Kiss was old, and Peter was on his own. So I don't think it was because of the material. His voice on those albums is great. His singing's good. People can debate whether the material's good, but I think a lot of the material on "Let Me Rock You" is fantastic. Russ Ballard, Steve Stevens, John Waite,
Yeah.
or Vinnie Cassano, and Adam Mitchell. So, all right, Lonnie.
You guys have mentioned those first two albums. I really enjoy Chris Cat 1. I think there's good stuff on that too. But that's when I got into a lot of Peter's solo stuff. Is when he did that tour with Ace in '95. I saw him and Ace on the Bad Boys tour in '95. So I didn't have any of that stuff because it wasn't really readily available, especially on a CD in '95.
That's another problem.
Yeah, correct, Mark. So, but I was able to get his new album, with Bad Attitude and Bad People Burn in Hell and stuff like that, and I enjoyed those songs when I was, a kid, basically in '95, listening to those and getting ready to see Peter Criss in concert. I enjoyed that album a whole lot more than a lot of Kiss fans do even. But you guys have talked about why it wasn't successful. Like Julian said, like Peter was on his own. Kiss was dying in America at the time. It just it wasn't a recipe to be successful, unfortunately. But there is good stuff on Peter's solo albums that doesn't get the recognition that it deserves.
Yeah, Chris Cat
sure.
number 1's a weird situation because Bad Attitude was the promo single and Show Me was the video. And I wonder if anyone ever saw, Show Me on Much Music or MTV. I wasn't in the country at the time. But there was some good stuff. I mean, Blue Moon Over Brooklyn, a song. Show Me I actually do like as a song. Bad Attitude is a decent song. Some of the catchier stuff didn't get cut, Wait for the Minute to Rock and Roll. But Ace had lost a record deal, and Peter was on a very small indie at the time, so not surprising, really. But I think availability is also, something. I don't think I've ever seen a U.S. ad for Out of Control. And someone can probably prove me wrong that there was one. Even reviews for Mask Hysteria, because I do Out of Control in there, are very hard to find, and there's a lot of hateful reviews, sadly, about that album in the press. So Kiss was, not making it, and Peter Criss certainly wasn't going to. There we go. There's some topics from the board this week. Everything, I think, here on out for the next few weeks, all going to be about the Creatures box set and going through that bad boy when it arrives. So I hope everyone's records reaches them safely. Everyone gets the records close to release date. Go into your local mom and pop shops. There is, of course, the very cool slip thing, whatever it's called.
Slipknot, yeah.
Thank you. Which looks great. If you're buying the LP versions, turn off your lights. See what happens. Because some people have already shared some photos of that. Read the book. I can't. I'm so jazzed to read that and to see the Gotham City news and the write-ups and all the songs. So it's going to be an exciting few weeks while we all digest a hell of a lot of music and demos. And everyone starts thinking, what's next? Who the hell knows? Let's enjoy this one for a little bit before getting into those topics. All right. Thanks for joining us. From Ken, from Lonnie, Mark, and myself, we shall see you next time. Be safe. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.